Hello, it's Jang here with a look at the LEGO Star Wars Pose X-Wing Fighter Set. Officially, this comes with 717 pieces. It includes 3 minifigures plus a very special droid. Comes with a couple of little utility things off to the side over here with the yellow colors. We'll look at all those independently, but I want to really focus on just the ship itself, of course. The overall build of this version of an X-Wing is very similar in its overall strategy to the last good minifig scale X-Wing that they did. There are some new parts included here, most conspicuously this new canopy piece, which is actually printed. It's printed on 3 sides, and it gives you that perfect shape. It's really looking like a scaled down version of the UCS X-Wing canopy piece that was also used on Benny's spaceship and such, and that's just hinged at the back. I'll give you a better look at the cockpit inside there as well. This is the Force Awakens version, so it has what some would consider to be the newer design, but of course we know that in reality it's an older design. It's based on the old pre-original trilogy concept art that Mr. McQuarrie himself put together. So this is older than the original trilogy in some ways. They have the spring-loaded shooters built in to the wings. They still have the full laser barrels towards the ends that are done in the more realistic fashion, but they bring the spring-loaded shooters as close as they reasonably could to those barrels. They do have the tails that stick out towards the rear, and I'm not a big fan of that, but it is a good idea at least getting the shots to come from a place near where they actually should on the actual thing. Obviously the color scheme is unique to this particular ship, to Pose ship. Most of the others now are going to be gray with blue as the accent, so blue instead of the orange color that you see here. Engine pods are actually looking pretty good, and they use silver pieces. These are actually molded in silver, these end pieces here, these large nozzle pieces. That's interesting. Nice gear detail on the back there, just looks pretty good. A lot of this is very smooth, goes together well. When you start to see things come together during the build, it starts to just make a lot of sense. It's a lot of sub-assemblies, but as it comes together well. Does have some stickers, for instance, stickers right here, and that goes for either wing. Some stickers up on top, but not too much. It's not, it's fairly reliant upon the colors of bricks for the most part. The most conspicuous stickers, I'd say, as far as the overall look of the whole ship, are definitely these going around these nacelle sections, and these are made in silver, these fender pieces, and I think that's the first time we've gotten those in that silver color. Very, very useful for custom builds. There is a gear-driven cam system that's built way into the depths of the center of the rear part of the fuselage to lock your S-foils into attack position. And if you look down in there in between the wings, so right in there, watch that, and you'll see the cam, how it turns, and that's just working against the power of these blue rubber bands, which unfortunately are very conspicuous, very obvious, but the whole system works well. It's just too bad about the blue itself. Once I did this for the first time, I have to admit I fell in love with this thing. Try to stay objective as I can, but I've been piloting X-Wings since the original Star Wars arcade game, and I played the first X-Wing game, actually called Star Wars X-Wing, for the PC entirely too much, as well as its expansions and X-Wing versus TIE Fighter and up to X-Wing Alliance and such. So there's a special place in my heart for X-Wings, always will be. I would be very mad if LEGO messed it up. I would be very mad if Disney messed it up. I'd be mad if anybody messed it up. But as I just looked at this with the S-foils opened up like that, I got it. It just all clicked. It just all made sense. And even looking at it right now, even though I've been staring at it for a while, looking at it right now, there's just something that I can feel in my throat upper part of my chest that's just gelling oh so well. It just speaks to me. The angles are right. The proportions are actually really good for a made for minifigs, non-special collector version little ship. It just looks really good. And even though it is a different design from what we actually ended up seeing in the original trilogy, it's still feels very authentic. It's still very close. That front, the way that this opening splits like that is foreign, but it's growing on me very quickly. The overall look of this, and of course the forward little skid is able to just retract. Nothing going on for the back that's retractable. These are just sitting there, and it just would sit on those, placing most of the weight on them. But just the look of this thing, this is what's important to me, how it looks from every angle. It's fairly swishable, even though these are loaded up with rubber bands. There's not a lot of stuff that's really flopping around here. These move a little bit, but it's fairly secure. Not too many pieces fall off easily on this thing. The one thing that I don't like here is just because of the rubber bands and how stiff they are when they're doubled up. There's two on either side. It kind of bends things in. You see how the engines are kind of tapered towards each other, especially this top one on this side. It seems to be occurring more over on this side than in other places, but they just come together just a little bit. That starts to relax, mostly relaxes when you bring the S-foils together, but that's really the only thing that I can say negative about this set from my personal perspective. This is also an important view that needs to have a good silhouette, and I think they got it. I think they did it right. Looking in the cockpit, I like how it's built up towards the front. It's got a little sticker used for the console there. Single control stick. Has a proper minifig seat, an actual seat down in there, and there's some room in there where you can put an accessory there, so you can put a pistol back there if you want. There is no room for an R2 unit in this particular X-Wing. Instead, it will just hold little Mr. Ball. The set also has a couple of stud shooters, one on either side, which represent the missile launchers, proton missile launchers, I believe. Although it's a little bit ironic that the projectiles there are just so small compared to the laser bolts, but I guess the overall proportions kind of make sense. Proton torpedoes are relatively short and stubby compared to the way we see laser bolts depicted in the movies typically. Poe Dameron is there on the left. In the center is just an unnamed Resistance pilot, and on the right, that character is just a ground crew member to help with service and such. I very much like these new helmet pieces, which have multiple types of plastic mixed together. So they've got the opaque standard ABS plastic for the black for Poe Dameron, and the white for the unnamed guy. And then they have the full transparent yellow, the proper color. And gosh, just look at the level of detailing on those torsos and the hips and the legs. It goes all the way down. Unfortunately, it doesn't extend around to the sides of the legs, but looks really good. And then the helmets themselves, some of the better detailed non-Imperial helmets, I'll say, that we've gotten yet, with just all the little fine little things. And a lot of colors used. They're very colorful. I think that's actually pretty appropriate to the movie. The ground crew member looks pretty good as well. And there they all are with their helmets removed, just so you can see the faces more clearly. And looking at them from the back, only Poe has a secondary face in this set. And then there's BB-8 itself, the surprise breakout droid star of the new movie. Good detailing on this one. Nice build. 2 new pieces used there. Printing going all the way around. That's not an easy feat to pull off on a small spherical piece like this with multiple different paint applications that have to be lined up together. That looks quite good. The head is able to move independently, so you can turn that spin that around as you like. The whole thing just fits on a single stud base, and there's how the top piece comes out. Just anti-stud there, a normal stud on the top of this one. I hope we will get more of these pieces in the future, perhaps even with no printing whatsoever, because they're super useful pieces. They're very cool pieces, especially make those in a light bluish gray, make some silver ones, make some black ones. There are all sorts of uses. Some various types of transparent colors. This is a really, really useful set of parts, but it's also, in this particular form, super collectible as BB-8. Here's the little ground maintenance vehicle, a little hovering tug type thing, which can move crew around, and also just a little bit of cargo. The box on the back right now. Oh, what is that? Is that a Rebel logo? Yeah, it is. Also on the helmets. But this right now has extra studs for the stud shooter on the X-Wing. So those would be your proton torpedoes in this case. It doesn't do a very good job of holding extra bolts because, you know, obviously these do have to be physically loaded onto the thing. So you could see this carrying them like so. Doesn't really have proper clips for them. You could stand them up on these clips on the sides if you want to. Not the best looking kind of thing, but it does work. But you can also use those clips to just hold, you know, hand weapons, so the pistol and such. And last, and probably rightfully least, this is just a little crew loading ladder, which will take you right up to the edge of the cockpit of the X-Wing. Works pretty well. I think I love this set. It does automatically place itself at great risk of receiving lots and lots of negative feedback from the community for a couple of reasons. For one thing, it's an X-Wing design that is not the exact original X-Wing design that we saw in the original trilogy. So that automatically will vilify it with some fans. For two, it is a Lego X-Wing that is very similar in its overall build to the last Lego X-Wing, because the last Lego X-Wing was really good. So why break something that is already in good shape by trying to fix it? They adapted what they did right with the previous design, and they adapted it to the new aesthetic design. Brought in some new parts and colors, and I think they've nailed it. I think they did an excellent job with the X-Wing. I appreciate the selection of figures, especially the droid BB-8, and I like the little extra things that they include. The little ground pieces just really help to set up even the smallest of basic diorama little scene. Let me know if you agree or if you completely disagree with my opinion. That is all good as well, and it's great to see different opinions. So please leave a comment down below. Thanks for watching, and as always, I've got more videos on the way, so I'll talk to you soon.